Good morning and welcome back to the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Danny Vittori, and today we have on the Executive Director for Raw Artworks. Thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you, Danny, for having me.
Great. So would you mind just introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about your journey since starting in Raw in 2022?
Sure. My name is Rosario Ubiera-Minaya, and as you mentioned, I'm the Executive Director for Raw Artworks here in Lynn. Very excited and honored to be in this role. I've been in this position for a little bit over a year and a half. I started around September of 2022. And it's been like I've been there for a long time, and in other parts it's like, oh, everything is new and it's so exciting because I'm from the North Shore. I grew up around this area. I'm from Salem, Massachusetts, and but I grew up seeing Raw Artworks everywhere. And my journey has taken me to being very involved in arts and community. So, Raw always comes up when those conversations are up. So I was very familiar with the organization before I joined.
Which is great. Now, I was going to ask what drew you to it, but it sounds like you've always been fascinated with arts in the community.
Yeah. I come from, my background is in museums and cultural institutions. So I work for museums for over 10 years, mostly at the Peabody Essex Museum, where I kind of shifted careers in that experience. I started thinking I'm going to be in broadcast journalism, communications and marketing. So that was kind of like how I started my professional career. But I grew up in a family of artists, and I've always been around art and creative expression, coming from the Dominican Republic. And when I came to the United States, that was something that I was interested in continue pursuing. So my journey took me into nonprofits and nonprofit management and administration, but also always with kind of like that lens through the arts and culture.
And could you talk about a little bit about the work that Raw Arts does in the community, some of your programming, some of the work you do with young people?
Yeah, sure. Well, Raw is an organization that has been rooted in Lynn for close to 40 years.
Wow.
So we are one of the oldies here in Lynn, and we are very proud of it. And we were founded under, the belief that all youth should be seen and heard, and that everyone has a story to tell, and that through art and creativity, we can use that as a tool to tell the stories. So that's kind of like the base of what we do. And also we are rooted in equity. So it's like, we are open to everyone, and we focus on making sure that everyone feels seen and connected and feels a place of belonging. So we serve students from 4th grade to a year after high school graduation. So we are kind of like extended, and we grow with them as we go. So one of the areas of like focus for us is to create what we call the continuum. And basically that is, we start with a 4th grader, right? And follow them through their journey and their cycle, and continue incorporating tools and pieces that are tools that they can use as they manage through their challenges, their lives, and find ways of having a voice and having creative expression throughout their lives. But the program really enriches itself through this model that we have that is called I Am, I Create, and We Connect. So basically we start with getting to know ourselves and our identities, and then we continue on into creating and introducing art as the tool, and then eventually have the opportunity as they continue growing to connect with everyone else around them, including their community.
Because art can be an incredibly powerful tool of expression.
Exactly. So I'm a true believer of that, and my own personal experience took me through that journey. When I came to this country, I was 16 years old. I was in high school, and it was kind of like a traumatic experience the way we ended up here in Massachusetts, back in Salem. So coming from a background where art was so prevalent, and then being kind of like introduced into a new place, and with just a system that I didn't understand, and being in high school and trying to navigate so many things, not knowing the language and being kind of like facing different challenges. Art was my place to go, to not only manage all of that and find kind of like a way of like controlling some of those feelings, but also it was an opportunity to communicate in many ways, because I felt like I didn't have other languages to be able to do that. Very powerful.
Definitely. And art, there's a very broad definition of it. So is there a specific medium or such you focus on? Is it more the students kind of choose what speaks to them? How does that work?
Yeah, so most of the work that we do, and I should mention that our staff, most of the program staff are art therapists. So we live in the model that we have at RAW, we live in the intersection of creative youth development and mental health and kind of like mental health support and art therapy. So that is the piece that not everyone understands about RAW. They see the art and they see the beautiful kind of like creations and how the kids and the youth is engaging with it, but they don't understand that there's a whole process behind getting to that. But most of the work that we do it through visual arts. So we do explore different mediums of like creative expression, but we focus on visual arts, and that also includes a film school. So we have, painting and sculpture and many other, kind of like materials that are used. But it also depends on the art therapist that is running that particular group and their expertise and kind of like some of the things that they can introduce as a way of like artistic techniques. So yeah, but we are open to kind of like exploring different things.
And the Reel to Reel School, they just had a night where they got to show their films too, which must have been great for those students.
Yeah, really, really exciting, because when we have two set of programs throughout the year. We have the school year programming that is kind of longer, and the students start around September and they end around the spring. And then we have the summer programs that are kind of like shorter programs and are our way of like trying different groups or trying different techniques, or just getting to know RAW a little bit better in a shorter way for the students that are interested in joining. But for the school year programming, we always ended with what we call an exhibit, and that exhibit includes not only our visual arts programs with kind of like art that is on the wall in an exhibit space, but also the film school. And the film school has their own way of presenting, what they produced out of their program throughout the year. So yeah, we just had that celebration. We had it at the Lynn Auditorium, and it was a great turnout. And it's just amazing to see kind of like how they have worked so hard to get to the point that they are showing their films, and they feel so not only proud, but really, accomplished, and as they should, in terms of like what they have been able to put together in those experiences. It is also kind of like a way of bringing the community together, and to just provide a platform or a stage for the youth to kind of like own it, and it's really, really beautiful to see.
It is. And I'm curious, you said it's from 4th grade to high school, so how would youth get involved? Can they get involved at any point? Like, they don't just start in 4th grade, do they? Can they get involved when they're a little older?
Yeah, ideally, we would like to have them as young as 4th graders, so we can go through that continuum with them. But yeah, they can join throughout the year. In order to get the full experience of RAW and what RAW can offer, you don't want to join later than the sophomore year, because by the time you get to a junior or a senior, it's kind of like you don't have the RAW way in terms of like getting to to really take the benefit of the program. But you can join if it's something that you're looking for, something specific. But yeah, so they can join at any point, either through the school or coming into the building, applying online. We have a lot of like referrals from different places, and again, we've been around for such a long time that people kind of know RAW. So students come from all different outlets and from different ways, and some of them are looking for more of the artistic experience, others are looking for mental health clinical support, and others just want to kind of like have access to youth programming after school.
Which are all great that you provide such a vast, level of those resources. And I know I have to wrap up in a moment, but was there anything else that I hadn't mentioned that you wanted to talk about?
Well, that we are just very excited about the direction that RAW is taking. We've been in such a wonderful leadership for 40 years. We just transitioned into myself being the executive director after inaugural executive director that was there for 35 years.
Wow.
So it's exciting times for the organization to kind of like reinvent itself, and get re-energized, and we are extremely excited about that. So there are going to be more things to unveil as we continue on in the next year or so.
Yes, well, you do amazing work, and I want to thank you again for coming on to share some of that with the greater community.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Of course, you are welcome anytime. And once again, I'm Danny Vittori. This has been the Lynn Lowdown, and we'll see you next week with more guests.